guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is my guy. He's written in a few times, good stories and all that. I believe he's in his 40s, married for 7 years, good marriage, all that. And he's writing in to really give quite an education, quite revelations about the subject of cheating. Subject that is a common theme to so many of the stories I cover here. You see, our guy, before he was married and happily married, he was no saint. In fact, he was definitely a scumbag, and I'm sure would admit it if he was here talking to me, who in his past, college and all that, cheated on many, if not all, of his girlfriends. And you're going to see this guy really lays it out, because he was a Chad, all the things guys need to know about how the Chads operate, okay, to protect yourselves. And obviously, he's remorseful what he did, but what happened, happened. But also equally important, he shares all the crap that women can pull behind the scenes to get away with it and cheat on their guys. Plausible deniability, all that type of thing that so many of you guys have to be made aware of. Whether you are a relationship guy and want to know this to protect yourself, or if you are just a guy who's gone his own way, you're a bachelor, that's it, and you don't care, well, this backs up why you don't get in relationships and why you are the way you are. So this guy really provides, as you can see by the length of this video, really good information here. Now, I get that a lot of you guys probably wouldn't want to listen to this guy, and I don't blame you, but I really do think it's important you hear from him because you want to know from all sides of these things to help protect yourself. You know, not everybody's a saint, but this guy definitely seems like he's certainly making an effort to redeem himself, as you will, with his current marriage, and I hope he does. But there's a lot of value here that I think a lot of you guys, you listen to this, however long this goes, 25 minutes or whatever, you'll walk out of here wiser. And that's what we're all here for, aside from good entertainment, to learn something every day. And so definitely give him a shot and listen to what he has to say. So it starts off, says here, hello SSM. You can call me Tom, and I've been an avid listener of yours for the past few years. I wish that all men and teenage boys would listen to you because you share extremely important information about relationships and female nature, and that information is reality. Well, I agree. I wish it was mandatory that all guys watch me because that would help a lot of guys out there. And quite frankly, I'd make a lot more money. I'm being honest. This is not how things should be or could be. You share real stories from real people about how things are. One of the major themes from your videos that is unfortunately common is infidelity. And today I'm writing to share my experience and explain how cheating works. This is not an endorsement, encouragement, or promotion of cheating. I'm simply stating the facts and sharing the information I know about the subject. And I appreciate you writing that in, man, because a massive theme to all these stories I share involve cheating or deceit in one way or another. So this is something guys got to know about from all sides, even from someone that did a lot of that crap. For some context here, my first real girlfriend was in college, and since then I've never been single, except for a brief period before I met my now wife. I have cheated on every woman I've ever been with, except for my wife, with whom I've had a very happy marriage for over 7 years. So, like I said in the beginning of the story, past you was a scumbag. And I know you know that. And it takes guts to write in, because you're going to get crap in the comment section. But we can learn from you, and I'm glad you found a wife that you're happy with, and you say you haven't cheated on her. That's good. I hope you learned your lesson. But remember, man, karma is a bitch, and you never know, she could cheat on you, and that's the karma coming back. I hope not. But and remember, guys, I'm doing this one because we can learn from this guy. Okay, I know some of you were like, oh, I don't want to listen to him. There's value here. He shared other stories before, good stories and all that. And here's a little thing to remember here. If I'm not mistaken, when Franklin Roosevelt, FDR, became President of the United States, I believe in 1933, he formed the Securities Exchange Commission, or led the charge on that, I think. And the first head of the Securities Exchange Commission was none other than Joe Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's father. And Joe Kennedy was no saint. And I think Roosevelt was quoted saying, it takes a crook to catch a crook, something like that. So this is why we're listening to this guy here, because he can share, all sorts of stuff. From the guy point of view, the scumbags and cheaters, to what the women pull off and things he's learned. I have to reiterate that because I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, because I almost didn't do this, but I thought there's value here. Okay. While I cannot say for certain that I'll never cheat on her or that she will never cheat on me, because forever is a long time, I can honestly say that I'm not interested in stepping out on her. Dude, you better not freaking cheat on her. After all this and what you know, I come over there and smack the shit out of you. You're not happy with your wife? End it. You know? And I believe you know that. I am more interested in investing into our family and pursuing other projects for self-actualization. Let me emphasize, cheating was wrong. With each girlfriend, I agreed to be exclusive, and I did not keep my word and commitment. There is no way to justify that, and I do not encourage cheating under any circumstances. With that said, here is everything I've learned about cheating. Okay, this is valuable information. First and foremost, the image of an a-hole, selfish, highly attractive Chad who targets all women you want and uses them for fun with no remorse is greatly exaggerated. Most men are not attractive enough to be in this position and get away with it. These guys do exist, but they are few and far between. You may run into one or two of them in high school or one or two in college, and after that, they really do thin out. In my entire life after college, I've only met two, one of whom worked at my gym and became my close friend for many years. I will call him Dan. Became your close friend, so he was a cheater and you were a cheater, and birds of a feather flock together. This is why I tell guys, pay attention to who your girl hangs out with. Or this situation, to the 4% of ladies, pay attention to who guys hangs out with. Right here. Dan is from my home country, and I met him when I was finishing up in college. Dan was single, a professional boxer who used to work out at my gym, and became a trainer there. Oh God, he was a trainer. Gee, who was he around the whole time? 2 years after meeting Daniel, he married a hot, rich, older chick, and within the first 5 months of his marriage, he had cheated with more women than I had slept with my entire life at that point. Since Dan and I were close, he told me about all his exploits, most of whom were members of the gym where he worked, and where I worked out. Once again, guys, the personal trainers. As a former personal trainer, I knew guys who I didn't 100% know what they were doing, but it was pretty darn suspicious, the actions that were going on, and a lot of people whispered in the corners about various guys. I can picture a couple. And I know at the martial arts school I was in for a number of years, I know for a fact a former instructor who was young, in his 20s, and also did MMA, amateur fights and all. This dude was banging a lot of students there, and that was part of the reason he got fired. So, there you go. He never went out into the nightlife and never met women outside the gym. Although Dan didn't earn much money himself, he was always in good shape, and in the gym, setting in a boxing ring, he was the man. So he was a big fish in a small pond. That's what he was, and he used that. Once Dan bragged to me that he was sleeping with an attractive older married woman from the gym. I was surprised to learn that she was married because she craved attention worse than the young single girls on my college campus. A lot of married women do crave more attention than young single girls because they want to feel like they're still beautiful and still got it. She's married, I asked Dan in a tone that mixed shock and disapproval. Married is better for me, Dan replied. The girls who are single might get attached and want a relationship with me. Then they will risk that my wife finds out. If she's married, it's better because she has something to lose and will not want anything more than the sex. Right there. This is why a lot of married women will hook up with scumbags, or women will hang out with guys who are scumbags because they know they can have their physical fun with them, get the attention and validation, and those guys don't want to commit. That's why a lot of guys are shocked that their girls are with these lowlives, because, they're not going to be a problem. They're going to keep it on the down low. Well, Dan would continue cheating on his wife for about 8 years before she finally caught him texting with a gal from the gym. The girl was pretty and much younger than his aging wife. It was clear that Dan was into her like a relationship. SSM, I know that most of your listeners like when cheaters get their karma. So I'm happy to report that Dan never made it big in the boxing world. He's still a trainer at the same gym, but doesn't fight anymore because his body's broken down. He lives with one of his well-to-do students from the gym and only makes enough money to pay for food, his car, and travel back to Brazil to visit his family every couple of years. Right there, it's a classic example of the cool guys, whether it be the cool guys from high school, college, or just the cool guys in their prime who later in life barely have 2 nickels to rub together. Right there. But the women will sleep with them because they were top dogs in their prime, and disposable. In all seriousness, this guy has no family, no health insurance, no savings, no retirement. He's my friend, and it's quite sad. The second half of his life is going much more difficult than his first half. Yeah, well, I don't feel bad for him. He made his bed, he can lie in it, He could have done something with himself. He used his time to bang married women and got, that's just fucking low. I don't feel bad for him. As for myself, my college sweetheart and I were together for 3 years while at university. During this time, I cheated on her with no less than 4 girls. Smack, jackass. She was a foreign student and generally a good person, and from the moment we started dating, I never thought that our relationship would be permanent. I did not even consider that I could make it permanent if I wanted to. I always viewed the relationship as temporary experience while the two of us were living in the same place. And one has to wonder if she ever cheated on you. But usually the guys that are the types that the girls are hot for and the ones they cheat with, usually the girls don't cheat on them. That's the interesting part. Also, the girls in college were surprisingly easy once I got the hang of it. They operated on plausible deniability. Now, this part's really important, guys. He's now going to start getting into the female mentality and how they can get away with the cheating and the BS they pull. Really pay attention here. I want to read that again. The girls in college were surprisingly easy once I got the hang of it. They operate on plausible deniability and allowed me to lead them into the bedroom so long as it was indirect. Here is an example. After meeting a girl in class or somewhere on campus, we strike up a conversation and ask the age-old question, what kind of music do you listen to? Next is the invite, with a side of plausible deniability. He would say, a group of my friends are going to watch a local reggae band Wednesday night. Give me your number and I'll send you the details in case you want to check them out. Well, now she has given you her phone number and opened the door, but she still has plausible deniability and could say that the purpose was to get information about a live music event and potentially go. See how they're using an event as an excuse for her to give you the contact information here? That's what she can say to the boyfriend if she gets caught. When you have her phone number, don't call or message her too much. Be lighthearted and a bit funny, a bit flirty, but keep the communication limited in volume and limited to the live music event. Now you have to get her alone. Remember, he's showing you what the guys, the Chads and Tyrones do, guys, and what they do. You need to get her alone. So you offer her more plausible deniability, saying, there's never parking around that bar. You can park at my place and we can take one car. Or if you live nearby. You've just given her an excuse to come to your place. Now, no guy should fall for this shit, but there you go. So lesson number 1, give women plausible deniability and you can lead them almost anywhere. One of the major reasons I was able to cheat on all my past girls is because they were all quite modern. They, along with myself at the time, believed that in the messy modern relationship paradigms like 1, men and women can have platonic friendships of the friends of the opposite sex. Nope, nope, nope. We all know it's a bad idea. Number 2, we can go out at night separately with our separate friend groups. And 3, and that we can generally maintain separate lives rather than build one together. My wife does not work this way. And one of the biggest adjustments I've had to make is that my wife is accustomed to going everywhere and doing everything together as a family. Even if it seems inconvenient to drag the entire group out on a quick errand. Well, your wife's smart. Here's the question. Does your wife know about your past? Because if you were a reformed man, a reformed scumbag, and trying to be a good man now, make up for your things, you would have told her about your past. But the interesting thing is, you being a hot commodity and popular with women, and therefore doing what you did on some twisted level, that would show her that you're a prize and would make her kind of like ignore that. Who knows? But I'm glad she doesn't tolerate any crap. This is lesson number 2. Men and women who live like they are single while in a relationship are a big red flag. Ding, ding, ding. I agree. If you're in a relationship, you got to act like you're in a relationship. If the woman is married, she needs to behave like a married woman, not a single girl. Even now, I can tell you which of my married friends will get divorced based on how involved his wife is in his life. If I have worked with you for 5 years, competed volunteer events together, worked out at the gym with you, and went on hunting trips, met you for the occasional lunch or dinner, and only met your wife once or twice, chances are she is not invested in building a life with you, and the marriage is not going to last. I agree, bro. After college, I spent a decade cheating on my next 4 exclusive girlfriends. Smack! And there are two different types of affairs. The first is opportunistic. This can be done with a woman you just met or a woman you've met before but do not talk to very often and do not know too well. Opportunist cheating is a hookup with very little communication. For a man, this is like a one-night stand that easily falls into place. It feels like a small blessing from the universe, and then you lose contact for years or forever. I've learned that in these cases, she has no interest in pursuing a relationship or even keeping communication because you're most likely the other man. And they know you're the type that is the other man and is not going to go anywhere, hence they cheat with you because it's safe. You're not looking for a relationship. This type of cheating is most common with a woman who is traveling, either alone or on a girls' trip, an ex or an old fling who keeps in touch every 6 to 12 months, or a woman who's on again, off again with her boyfriend. Over the years, I've heard some phrases that I later realized were red flags that the women were possibly being unfaithful with me. These include the following. Now listen to this, guys. This is coming from the women. I have a boyfriend, but we are on a break. Sure. My boyfriend and I are on again, off again. Or simply, we were on a break or going through a rough patch. These phrases mean that she is in a relationship, but has put the guy on layaway while she plays the field to see what else is out there for her. In other words, yeah, she's doing that. And this is why I say, guys, when they want to have a break or time to find themselves or open relationship, there's always a guy they're talking to, working things out to see, but they keep the guy who's dumb enough to go for it on layaway. That's why you never ever accept a break or any of that crap. Other cheating phrases include the following. I just got out of a relationship. This means that she is not out of the relationship yet, but she's looking around and will break up with her boyfriend as soon as she can secure something better. Ding, ding, ding. Rare is it, guys, that they'll break up with a guy and have no other prospects to keep her entertained. The worst one I ever heard was, I'm divorced, but we still present as a couple for the benefit of our child. The second type of affair is a fling. This one is where most cheaters get caught because it is more difficult to conceal a second relationship. Most of my past cheating were flings that lasted 2 to 4 months. In the beginning, I did not tell the other woman that I was in a relationship. After spending time together and becoming physical, the girl would think that we were heading towards a relationship. She would understandably feel upset that I led her on. Well, I don't blame her. Later, I learned that women do not care if I have a girlfriend, and I began to drop hints the same way that women do. Whenever meeting a new girl who I wanted to pursue, I would casually drop a clue that I might be in a relationship by using phrases like the following. Saying things like, you do yoga? Well, the girl I'm seeing is a yoga instructor. Then direct the conversation away by adding something like, you yoga girls are all the same. So in other words, you're letting her know you have a girl that you're seeing, but you actually had a girlfriend, like you're supposed to be exclusive, but you're just mentioning there's a girl you're seeing, downplaying the whole thing, so you can't say. But remember, women are super competitive, and there are women out there that have no problem putting the moves on guys they see as a catch who are in relationships because they see as competition. Like, ooh, if I can get him to cheat on her, then I'm such a catch. I'm sure a lot of you guys that have had relationships have had women that are interested in you when you're in a relationship. But when you're single, it's like you're invisible. Well, it's not an accident. I would never explicitly say that I'm in an exclusive relationship. Instead, I would refer to my girlfriend as someone I'm seeing or dating. Then blow past it and continue on with my pursuit. This was enough for my affair partner to understand that we are not exclusive, that we must be somewhat discreet, and will not behave like a couple in public. And then she is not being lied to or led on to thinking that her and I will be in a relationship later. In my entire life, I could only remember 3 or 4 occasions where the other woman knew I was in an exclusive relationship and really did not care. I was hit on by 2 friends of my girlfriend while still in a relationship with her, but I turned these women down. Well, I'm glad you did that, and I'm not surprised. I've had girlfriends in my life that the girls were hitting on me, and it wasn't the case that, they were testing my loyalty to report back to her. No, these girls were scumbags. He says, please note, you have to let your girlfriend's friends down easily or set them up with one of your buddies to avoid them feeling rejected and giving you problems later. Women can't take rejection. Now, to answer some frequently asked questions here, did any of my girlfriends cheat on me? While it's always possible for a woman to cheat, I do not think so. Well, dude, It's certainly possible. And if they were cheating on you when you were cheating on them, that'd be pretty darn funny, and you would have deserved it. But since you were obviously the bad boy type, the interesting thing is a lot of the bad boy types that have girlfriends but cheat on them, usually those girls don't cheat on the bad boy. That's the funny part. I mean, some will eventually if they're hurt enough, but usually it's not always the case. The most likely candidate would be my college sweetheart cheating on me after we moved apart and tried to do the long distance. During that year, she grew very distant and made little effort to communicate. She was cheating. In my past relationships, I was the difficult one. I do not say this with pride, but instead with earnestness. I come from a severely dysfunctional family background, and I was incapable of establishing and building healthy relationships until I got help and did real work, not yoga and daily affirmations. Right here, guys. He's admitting dysfunctional family, hard to maintain relationships because, think about it, his family, who was supposed to be his number one relationship in life, was a big freaking mess. So there you go. This is why I tell you guys, don't go after girls that come from families that are a big giant mess. Otherwise, they're going to cheat on you and it's going to be a mess in your life. It says, SSM, you say this all the time, and I wish that men would listen to you. Pay attention to your girl's family, what I just say. If they're dysfunctional, she will be dysfunctional. You will not get into a relationship with a homeless drug addict, would you? Unfortunately, too many men pursue women who are the relationship equivalent to a homeless drug addict. A woman who comes from so much dysfunction and trauma that she is incapable of maintaining a healthy relationship. She will cheat on you, but only after making your life hell. Thank you. It's the fucking truth. And is it the girl's fault that she comes from a bad family, bad background, drama, turmoil, all that? No, of course not. But it is what it is. We're dealing with reality here. The problem is so many guys out there get it in their heads that they're going to save the girl, be the hero, save her from her past, save her from her drama. When the interesting thing is, as an adult, she's usually one that seeks out the drama because that's what she's used to or what she thinks she's worth. So don't be that guy, guys. No Captain Save-A-Hose here. I'm not proud to say that I was that guy, so don't waste your time with that type of girl. But yes, it is possible that I was cheated on. It's always possible. Safeguarding a relationship means that you remove as many possibilities as possible and to walk away forever if she does cheat on you. You always walk away if she cheats on you, guys. Always. Who cheats more, men or women? Oh, I can hear the debates, but this guy has a great answer for that. He says, in my experience, most men do not cheat because most men cannot pull one woman, much less multiple women. It is often that the women who cheat because it's simply easier for them. So long as they are not too unpleasant or grotesquely fat, they will get hit on and they can easily get laid. I wholeheartedly agree on that. As long as she's not like 300 pounds and, she keeps her hygiene decent, she can get laid. My objective observation is this. The number of women who cheat is much higher than the number of men who cheat. However, the small number of men who can cheat do it much more often than most women do it, because women are still more selective and want to cheat up into smaller and smaller pools of elite men. I agree. Therefore, the Chad and Tyrones, the top percentage guys that they all want, they can get lots of women. How could I knowingly sleep with a woman who is cheating? There's a question. Sleeping with a woman who's taken, that is absolutely horrible. I know there are guys out there that say, who cares? Their sent boyfriends deserve it, and I disagree with that. You're just making the world a worse place. He says, your women who cheat are usually looking for excitement or trying to monkey branch to the next best thing and are usually misleading the affair partner. These women are either traveling on a vacation or girls' trip, or they say things like, I just got out of a serious relationship, or they're seeing or dating somebody, but they do not tell you that they are in a committed relationship. I never pursued a woman who was in a relationship or marriage knowingly, and I'll come back to this later. Okay, so I'm going to take your word on that. You didn't knowingly pursue the girl who had a boyfriend or engaged or a marriage. Well, that's good to hear. You had some level of a code back then. But how many stories, guys, have I covered where guys were having a thing with a gal and found out later on that she was married or engaged or had a boyfriend, and they get their butts kicked and had no idea about this whole thing whatsoever. Yeah, again, this is why I'm doing this story, guys. You get the perspective from a guy who cheated and how cheaters think, but also what he learned, how the women operate. So there's, like I said earlier, there's value here. I know a lot of you guys obviously won't like this guy. Fair enough, but still, we can learn. When meeting and trying to sleep with women, I never asked if any of them were in relationships. SSM, I know that you frown on this, and I watched your other videos where you advise men to ask if this woman is in a relationship, but I do respectfully disagree. In my experience, asking, do you have a boyfriend, reeks of desperation and communicates to a woman that you're looking for a relationship. This is not a good position for a man to begin a romantic pursuit, unless he's very serious and wants to be in a committed relationship. Well, that's why I say that. That's the only reason I say that. For the guys that do want to be in relationships, obviously want to find out and catch her in a lie, or at least you ask. But if you're a guy who just, no big deal, just looking to have some casual fun, no, you don't have to ask that. In that case, it does make sense, but will still be a major turnoff to a woman. I don't care. Back in my day, my attitude was, I will pursue her and try to get her into bed. And if she's in a relationship, she will at some point reject my advances. Anything but a no is a yes, or at least let's see what happens. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you talk to a girl and you're putting the moves on it, she knows when you're hitting on her and she doesn't say she has a boyfriend. Okay, I never met a girl who I knew was in a relationship and pursued her to cheat. The worst is maybe keep in touch as friends and be present when she breaks up or takes a break from the guy. There are a couple important lessons I can leave with your listeners here. First, understand that cheating is not a mistake, and it does not just happen. Cheating is a long series of choices that a woman makes. Thank you. Right. It takes a lot to get to the point of the actual physical part of the cheating, even though her planning and talking to a guy, having an emotional part of it before the physical act is cheating in itself. It's not just a one-time mistake or that type of crap. Bullshit. Think about how much work it takes for a man to meet a woman and finally get her in the sack. That is the long list of choices she continues to make. Her first choice was to go into a situation where she can attract a man and his attention and be hit on, without her boyfriend or husband there. This could be a girls' trip, dinner with friends, or sitting alone at a cafe, or any social event without her boyfriend or husband. The second choice is made when the guy starts up a conversation and hits on her, and she chooses to be open and respond to it. Yes, a good woman. Guys, I'm sure you guys, I've done this before where I've gone up and talked to a woman, and she lets me know fairly quickly if she has a husband or boyfriend or something like that. Maybe she didn't like me and wanted to get rid of me, but I'm sure some cases was the actual case, and those were good women that would say they have a husband or boyfriend. But if a woman has a husband or boyfriend, but still lets the guy to buy her a drink and hit on her, and she's receptive and flirty and puts her hands on him and stuff like that, obviously, that's not just a mistake. Next, she usually chooses to exchange contact information, phone numbers, social media, etc. Then she chooses to communicate with him, which gives him the opportunity to develop a rapport and invite her to somewhere along together. She chooses to see the guy again alone after being hit on, feeling the attraction and possible flirting. Finally, she chooses to accept his physical escalations and then chooses to have you-know-what with him and cheat on her boyfriend or husband. If any woman ever tells you that cheating was a mistake, she is full of crap. Cheating is indeed a long series of choices, and each time she chooses him over you and possibly over your family. Exactly. And yet they all say the same things. That's why I call it the Hobag Handbook. The biggest lesson I can leave you with is that most women live on plausible deniability. See, back to that part again. When you set, and more importantly, enforce boundaries, her intentions are irrelevant. Boundaries must be about the behavior, clear and simple. It is never acceptable for your wife or girlfriend to give her contact information to another man, amongst many other things. And I always talk about laying out your boundaries and holding her responsible to your boundaries, enforcing the boundaries. The problem is the majority of men out there are too weak, let's be honest, a bunch of manginas to lay out boundaries, let alone enforce them. Because they're so terrified that, she'll get mad. Or, she'll break up with him. Who the fuck cares? When in reality, by you laying down the law and establishing boundaries and enforcing them, you're acting like a guy with self-worth and acting like a fucking man. And she may get bitchy about it, but she'll at least have respect for you. Whether that lasts, who knows? But you gotta lay out boundaries and enforce them, gentlemen. She will try to argue that her intention was to apply for a job at his company, or that his intention was to introduce her to a potential customer to help her job. These are all BS, and you will get nowhere except cheated on if you operate in the realm of intentions. Thank you. You must focus on the behavior, not giving out her contact info to another man for any reason, period. Be prepared to walk away if she crosses your boundaries. Like I said before, if you give her plausible deniability, you can lead her anywhere. See? Always walk if your boundaries are crossed, gentlemen. Always walk if she cheats. But again, most guys out there are pussies, and they won't do that. At its core, a romantic relationship is a simple agreement that the two people make. We both want to be promiscuous and have sex with other people, but we both agree not to do it, and to only have sex with each other. Do not allow women to make this simple arrangement messy and introduce murky exceptions, what-ifs, intentions, ethical non-monogamy, and other bullcrap. None of them work, and will only leave you heartbroken. Keep it simple. If you both agree to not have sex with other people, and if you find out that she's having sex with anybody else or even trying to, either open to giving him a shot, then you're done with her and there's no going back. Exactly. The power of walking away. I'll leave you, relationship guys, with a quote to live by. Men's burden is to sacrifice our comfort, health, and safety. Women's burden is to sacrifice their options. If she's not killing off her options, then you do not sacrifice any of your comfort, health, or safety and resources for her. That's good. Good luck out there, gentlemen, and SSM, thank you again for the important work that you do. I wish every man would subscribe to your channel and listen to your lessons. Your channels need to be a required reading for every male as soon as they hit puberty. Amen. And guys should listen to it throughout the rest of their lives to stay sharp. But anyhow, bro, I appreciate you sending that information in. And for God's sakes, I hope you've learned from your past mistakes and you're a good husband to your wife. And you feel inclined to cheat. If you got to do that, then you end it with her. End of fucking story. But I hope you've learned. So anyhow, you're going to get shit in the comment section. You have to understand it's going to happen. A lot of guys are going to hate your guts. But you are sharing valuable information, and I appreciate that. From the perspective of a guy who's cheated, how cheaters think, and the plausible deniability and the crap that women pull and stuff like that, just to remind guys out there that happens. We need to know this stuff, you know? And it's not always going to be from a source that many guys are going to love, but there's value here, and that's why I covered it, and I appreciate that. Plus, you've shared some good stories in the past, and, you know, you're part of the channel, so that's a good thing. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And, guys, you got a good story to share or a good article you found, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.